Hello and welcome to the EMJ Gold podcast, brought to you by EMJ, your number one open access destination for HCPs and pharma globally. So Jade, we're nearly at the end of the season.
Yeah, I can't believe it's gone so quickly.
It really has. It's been a really fun couple of months and we've had the chance to speak to quite a few different people. So today we thought we would sit back and reminisce over a couple of our favourite moments from season 8.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't believe that we're here already. This one has really flown by a lot quicker than most have. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to sit down as always next to you every week, Isabel, for these.
Oh, Jade, you are too kind. Now, while we spoke to a real squad of influential players in the industry this season, Jade, I'd love to know, what was one of your key moments from the many conversations that sticks out?
Been a lot of them, but one that does really float to the top of my mind, I have to say, is from my conversation with Martina Dempsey. She's the Vice President of Commercial Strategy and Operations at Astellas Europe. And during our conversation, we spoke a lot about empowering women in the pharmaceutical industry, but I especially enjoyed when she was speaking about how likely the next generation of workers are to enter the industry, whether they're men or women. So,
Remember.
Should we listen in?
Yeah, let's do it.
I really believe that this generation of talent are very clear-eyed about what their working life should be. And it's a bit different to certainly my experience or my expectations. But I do think the pharma sector is intrinsically aligned with many of these needs. Young people want work that has real meaning and purpose. They want their work to be aligned with their values. They want to feel they're making a positive impact. And, pharma's mission of, bringing new life-altering medicines and advancing the health of patients and societies is really one of the highest purposes there is, in my view. And I think, therefore, that, it appeals to that sense of, purpose that young people are looking for. I think they also, young people also want sort of a growth. They have big growth mindsets and they want a career that affords opportunities for continuous learning and professional development and probably career evolution, because, you often hear it said this generation will probably have a portfolio career. They'll jump around a lot. They'll have lots of different jobs. And if you consider the types of roles and the type of activities that happen all the way along the life cycle of a product being developed in pharma, from research and development, manufacturing, quality, pharmacovigilance, regulatory affairs, commercial sales, marketing. The opportunities for a diverse career and for a career evolution in pharma are really very, very wide. So I think we also have that, we tick that box in terms of the aspirations of young people too. And, the other thing obviously is, and again, firsthand experience, young people, want to work to live. They don't want to live to work. So, having flexibility in remote working and flexible hours, allowing them to have a better work-life balance, I think, and to travel and see the world and to have a healthy approach to family life is also really important.
Well, great clip there. I think pharma certainly seems to be becoming a hub for young talent in Martina's eyes, which is great to see. And her perspective was nice to hear too, when she was talking about how the industry's mission aligns with the sort of preference for purpose that the younger generation have. It's not just about the day job, it's really about finding that dual or shared purpose between employer and employee. I think that is something the next generation is really looking for, and well, hopefully it is something they can find in pharma.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as Martina mentioned there, pharma offers so many of those opportunities for personal growth and skill development. It really is becoming a place, like she mentioned, where people don't just work to live, they can thrive, live to work. So all in all, seems like the future is looking really bright for pharma with the next generation. Have you got any favourite moments that come to your mind?
So one of mine, I think, is going to be with Jennifer Schranz, who is someone that you spoke to. She's a Senior Vice President and Global Head of Rare Diseases at Ipsen, of course. And she was talking about the double jeopardy that women face in rare diseases, a really interesting topic. And in her episode, I think she shared some really eye-opening research. So let's hear a snippet of that.
You still see that women are diagnosed later than men and that they may not even receive the same treatment. And this is seen in common diseases as well. There's a very big literature in cardiovascular disease that women are diagnosed later and they're not receiving the same treatment. So this is all amplified in rare diseases. And in this similar survey, for example, in France, they also looked at the diagnostic journey for 22 different rare diseases, and they saw for 22 different rare diseases, regardless of whether they were more involving women or men, that the delay for diagnosis was seen in a very prominent manner. So why is this? Is that because women are less likely to share their voice and to share their symptoms? Are they trying to say, I have fatigue, I have brain fog, for example, for primary biliary cholangitis, and those symptoms aren't taken seriously? Or are they too busy with life thinking that maybe it's just their hormones, for example, pregnancy, menopause, hormones fluctuation also impacts the immune system, et cetera. So I think it leads to frustration, distrust of a lot of women with the healthcare system if they feel they're not being heard. So I think what's really important is also to think, our kind of women program to not be empowered or to push for their voice to be heard and to say, no, there's something truly wrong with me. These symptoms are important. It's more than just being tired.
So Jennifer brought up some really damning data there. The gender disparity in diagnosis is really shocking, I think. But yeah, I guess that's why it stuck with you so much.
Yeah.
Women are often diagnosed a lot later than men, and the questions that she was raising in that clip about whether women could be less likely to advocate for themselves simply by societal condition were pretty somber. Yeah, quite shocking to hear.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there were some absolutely important questions that are being asked. Are women being heard enough by healthcare providers? Are they simply too busy or overrun with other responsibilities to prioritise their own health? The industry as a whole, I think, needs to make sure that women are being more empowered to advocate for their health and also educate HCPs to be able to spot and recognise symptoms that appear in women a little bit better than maybe they are at the moment.
Yeah, really change that education game there.
Yeah.
Bridging that gap could have such a huge impact, I agree, but not just on individual women, but on how healthcare systems operate as a whole, I guess. Speaking of changing mindsets, though, moving on to our next guest, I really enjoyed hearing from Jean-Bernard Simeon, who's the Senior Vice President and Head of ViVE Healthcare in Europe this season, and he shared his thoughts on lessening the stigma faced by people with HIV.
Really interesting. Let's listen in.
Nowadays in Europe, a lot of people going to HIV clinic, they go to the back door. They don't dare to actually enter like other patients in the hospital. So it is still challenging for people to come to hospital to get their HIV care. So a solution that combines hospital care with outpatient care, I think, is a future to ensure that access is much broader. We also see checkpoints that are being developed in a number of important cities where people are given a number of services linked to sexual health or sexually transmitted diseases. This is another way to normalize HIV. And finally, I think we need to reduce the stigma. We see that one of the key reasons why this disease is so difficult to control is much more stigmatized than everything else, other diseases. There's stigma, as I said, but also stigma in the society. And the more we do to control that disease, the more we actually show that that disease is no longer a death sentence. You can live with it absolutely happily. The more we also help society to accept it. So effective medicines and stigma go hand in hand, but it's not sufficient. Awareness campaign, really showing solidarity and allyship with the people living with HIV across the different communities is essential. So if we combine these different aspects of care, great medicines, and addressing the stigma, I think we'll go a long way. And as I said, the ultimate goal is to find a cure.
Now, I think JB is completely right there. Stigma doesn't just affect those living with the condition, it also hinders progress in public health efforts. So if we can shift the narrative, normalise the conversation around HIV and educate society as a whole, I think it will be such a huge step forward. For people who do live with HIV, breaking down that stigma could mean fuller, more empowered lives. So if there's anything the industry can do to enable that, I think it's positive.
Yeah, I hugely agree with you. Stigma has a real ripple effect too. I think it affects everything from access to treatment to mental health.
Yeah.
So much more, so many stages there. And as JB said, tackling it head on, really looking at it, gives us a better chance at making a real difference, both in individual lives and global health outcomes as well.
Absolutely. I think working to improve global health outcomes is really important. And it's actually something one of our other guests touched on, a conversation you had with Elias Ravonta, who is the CEO of Augusten Medical. He touched on this topic in his episode, so should we have a listen to that?
I think so.
It's on a global scale. There's still a lot of places where there is no awareness of what actually is a bacterial or what's a viral infection, and so raising awareness is a big thing. We also need to have tangible solutions. We need to have something that can be used, tools that can be adopted easily. And I think, like I said in the beginning, it's a multifaceted approach, but having something that we can actually do, and we can, give the healthcare providers, the professionals, tools that aid in the overprescription of antibiotics for conditions or diseases that don't need them. So that's one of the things that, in my opinion, is one of the, and it's not just my opinion, but it is the biggest drivers in antibiotic resistance is the overprescription of antibiotics.
Of course.
Overuse and misuse antibiotics, and with the lack of rapid diagnostic tests or tools, devices that give you the information to differentiate or confirm bacterial infections or diseases, it's crucial to have those tools.
Now, AMR is a real and looming crisis, as we all know, but I think Elias's focus on tangible solutions really resonated with me personally. By giving HCPs the right tools to manage the rate of antibiotic prescriptions, the industry can really ensure that the drugs do retain their power. That was something that Elias mentioned there, and really help to preserve their effectiveness. They're really good. It's just making sure they stay strong.
Absolutely. And I think overprescription is such a tricky challenge, but as Elias said, empowering HCPs with better tools and guidance is really key. And it's all about clarity and action and having tangible solutions, not just talking about it, but actually, making change. I think it's one of those issues that feels very big, and it has done for quite a long time. So yeah, breaking it down into actionable steps can only be beneficial and move the needle, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We've heard from so many great guests over these last few months, and although we sadly can't fit all of their insights,
would have been many more.
So many, this would have been an hour long. But I do hope everyone listening to this little highlights reel enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do be sure to check out all the full episodes from the guests we've discussed today. We'll link them in the show notes, and of course, check out the rest of the season 2 if you haven't already. Our season finale is just around the corner now, so be sure to subscribe if you're not, so you don't miss out on that. Thanks for joining me, Jade.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening as well. See you next time.
Bye.